Solid Snake foiled a huge terrorist operation and prevented a nuclear strike in Shadow Moses. And he did it all without ever putting one foot in front of the other. No one understands his methods, but they can't argue with his results. This time he's back at it again in the sequel. We will lightning strike twice as we, once again, slither to victory. Can we beat Metal Gear Solid 2 without taking any steps? Let's find out. Let's set some rules. But I just want to quickly say that if you enjoy these type of challenge videos, then know that I plan to make many more just like it. So please subscribe, follow our Twitch, and maybe even crawl on over to our Discord server as well. Back to the rules. Rule number 1, we cannot take a single step on foot. So we want to avoid using the D-pad or the left analog stick whilst we're in a standing position, except to rotate on the spot. Rule number 2, we will be playing on normal difficulty. Other than the first rule, we're treating this like we would a casual playthrough. Rule number 3, we must complete all boss fights without skipping any of them and without sequence breaks. And rule number 4, once we beat Solidus Snake, the final boss, we win! The main thing to keep in mind is that when we don't have control, the no step rule does not apply. This includes things like cutscenes and when we're opening certain doors as we walk through those automatically. Just like with our Metal Gear Solid 1 video, our only options when it comes to movement is either crawling or single punching. If we do a single punch, we will inch forward slightly. We can punch in a rhythm over and over to cover distance a bit quicker, but generally we will be crawling most of the time. But before we even start a new playthrough, the first thing we want to do is open the settings and change the quick change to swap. You'll see why later. We start as Solid Snake aboard the tanker, and we need to make our way to the bridge. There are a few guards patrolling both the outside and the inside areas of the ship. We'll be heading inside by opening this valve door. Snake runs through these doors automatically after opening them, and we have no control over that. The lounge area has a good number of guards walking around, but we can crawl behind the seats to stay out of sight. There's even a ration up here. Thankfully, we start the game with a tranquilizer gun, and we can even aim and shoot whilst lying down. We generally make sure to aim for the head to ensure the guards are knocked out cold right away, and for the longest time. Before we get to the bridge, we grab the orange box from the pantry and crawl under the infrared sensors. Heading up to the bridge now starts a boss fight against Olga Galukovich. The fight is basically a gunfight from either side of a row of crates. Olga will try to make things difficult for us by shining a light in our face, or hiding behind some tarp. There is enough of a gap at the side of the crates to shoot her whilst lying down. Something worth mentioning is that Olga will throw grenades at us if we stay low for too long, but as long as we can see where she's taking cover, this isn't too difficult. After the battle, the game has positioned us on the upper ledge where Olga was. The only way back down is to punch our way over the edge. There's a ladder at the top of the ship, and to get on the ladder we just press triangle in front of it, which is fine, but the only way to climb the ladder is to press up. And this isn't fine. Now we need to head deeper inside the ship, and the guards down here are a bit more difficult to avoid since we're travelling on thin gangways. The best method is to stay out of sight and tranquilize any guards that get in our way. We come to a door protected by more infrared sensors, but we can deactivate it by shooting all the control boxes in the area. We now need to crawl through a long corridor with a couple of guards, but it isn't long until we're discovered automatically by several guards all at once. This section is treated almost like a boss encounter. We just need to take out the wave of guards ahead of us. Unfortunately, this isn't easy considering we can't move on foot. We take a lot of damage here, especially from their grenades. When you have low HP in this game, you can crouch to slowly recover some HP to get out of critical damage. So in a desperate attempt at survival, we dropped down to do just that. Regardless though, it looked like we were as good as dead. And then the last 3 guards decided to charge at us in an orderly queue. Since we were crouching at the time, we were at the perfect height level to make them pay for their strange conga line tactic by rapid firing straight through their vulnerable extremities. Needless to say, we won this fight. In the next area, we are above a large room where a speech is being given to many guards, and we have a time limit to get through here. The intended way down is to climb down a couple of ladders. As we mentioned earlier, we can climb onto the ladder by just pressing triangle, but from there we can't climb up or down without breaking the first rule. We can back ourselves against a railing and press triangle to jump over the ledge to grab. Now we can drop down and grab onto the railing below by hitting triangle again on the way down. This skips the need to use the first ladder. Unfortunately, we can't do this again to drop to the ground floor as the fall is too great and Snake dies. This means we cannot avoid using this second ladder, but check this out. If we equip the camera, we transition into first person view. But if we equip the camera and then immediately climb onto the ladder before the first person transition can occur, the game kinda freaks out. Snake gets stuck continuously performing different animations for things like grabbing a ladder, holding the camera, climbing over a railing. During this, Snake will automatically move forward, but we can change his direction at will. We need to get to the door on the ground floor at the upper left side of the room, but we still need to stay out of sight of the guards below, as them spotting us will result in a game over. If we perform this ladder glitch on the first ladder, we can stay high enough so the guards don't see us as we make our way over the room. Once we're above the door, we can press triangle to make Snake climb over an invisible railing, and then as long as we're not pressing anything, Snake will just fall straight down. As soon as we start pressing a direction again, the glitch continues, but now we're lower down. If we timed it right, we will be at the perfect height to hit the loading trigger behind the door. Snake did a lot of strange movements during this glitch, but I can say with confidence that none of it could be considered taking steps. There are a couple more rooms full of guards, but we can crawl around these and take advantage of when they face to the left side. Thankfully, every photo that we need to take of Metal Gear can be shot from the ground level. There are 1 or 2 guards in our way, but we can tranquilize them. Although, due to how slow crawling is, we end up running out of time. But if this happens, the guy delivering the speech decides to go an extra 3 minutes. This provided us enough time to crawl around and take all the photos we needed. As soon as we upload all the photos to the nearby computer, all hell breaks loose. Ocelot detonates some explosives, the ship starts taking on water, liquids in Ocelot's arm, and then he steals Metal Gear Ray as Snake goes down with the ship. You know what, best not to think about it. Let's just skip ahead 2 years and play as Raiden instead. Raiden is such a big fan of Snake, he even adopted his unique methods of not taking steps. Right away there is a door we need to open, but the door frame is too high to crawl over. We need to punch our way through this doorway. In the next room there are a few guards on the floor unconscious, but as we activate the node nearby, the guards start to regain consciousness. There is an elevator at the top of the room that is on its way down, and we need to get on it. But if the guards see us, we're as good as dead. We can crawl over to one of the guards and choke him out immediately as he stands. We then quickly hit a punch and kick combo on the second guard before he can shoot us. We can just make it into the elevator before the second guard comes to. From here on, we'll be travelling all around the big shell structure. There are several struts all connected by bridges. Each strut and bridge has its fair share of guards patrolling them, and the bridges can have ciphers flying around too. With good timing, we can avoid detection from the first guard we encounter, even when crawling. And when it comes to guards on bridges, a good number of them can be avoided by hanging over the rails and shimmying past them. The ciphers can be shot down in first person view. There will even be claymore mines on certain connectors, but crawling over them won't set them off, and we will even collect them for ourselves. Our first destination is Big Shell's dining hall, where we will meet Stillman. He gives us a level 1 keycard and then tasks us with freezing and disarming several bombs, one on each of the nearby struts. Once we find a bomb, we can freeze it with our coolant spray to disarm it. Some of these bombs are awkward to reach as they're located in some difficult to reach areas, especially the hidden bomb in strut D, as it's quite the challenge crawling through here without getting spotted. We did get spotted at one point, but we were able to hang over the rail and shimmy past all of the reinforcement guards as they charged by. The parcel room is another difficult area to crawl our way through without being seen, and we have to make our way through the same strut several times throughout the game. I'll take this time to mention that we are unable to get onto the conveyor belt for quicker travel, as we have to press a direction button towards the conveyor belt whilst wearing the box, so we'll just have to travel manually. The room that really takes the cake is the warehouse in strut F. Many guards patrol this area on both the upper and lower floors. Now that we have a level 1 keycard, we can get a few things from around the warehouse, most notably Cardboard Box 2, the M9, rations, pentazamine, stun grenades, and a SOCOM suppressor. To get to the bomb though, we need to drop onto it from the upper floor. The cardboard box can be really helpful here. We can't move in the cardboard box as that counts as steps, but we can hide under it as guards pass by. The timing takes practice, but we were able to drop down onto some crates and punch our way down to the bomb from there. Climbing back up again is fine, as we just press the triangle button to hoist ourselves up, although we had to use stun grenades to be able to escape here. As soon as we've disarmed the first few bombs, we make our way back to the dining hall. On the way back, we make sure to take out the guard in the strut B corridor. This will be a big help shortly. Once we're back in the dining hall, we grab the sensor B, but now we suddenly have a 400-second time limit to get back down to the elevator on strut A. This kind of time limit wouldn't normally be an issue, but at our slower than normal speed, this is actually a bit of a problem. So it's time to introduce a trick to allow us to crawl faster. Do you remember that setting we changed at the very start? We set quick change to swap instead of unequip. This means that pressing R1 will swap between between the last 2 items we held instead of unequipping the item. If we make sure the last 2 items that we held were either guns or throwable items, like grenades, then we can spam R1 to rapidly swap back and forth between them. There is something of a rhythm to it, but if we do this whilst crawling, we can actually cover distance faster than a normal crawl. It even works when crawling up staircases. We'll just call this speed crawling from now on, and speed crawling was essential for getting back inside strut A in time. This is also why we took out the guard in strut B, so that we just speed crawl through the area without having to worry about that guard. We take the elevator down to the bottom of strut A and speed crawl our way to the bottom, although we need to punch our way over the door frame again. With less than a minute to go, we were able to freeze the last bomb. As we head back to the elevator, we are attacked by Fortune and her massive railgun. It's impossible to hit her, so this boss is all about survival. She can destroy the environment around us to remove our hiding spots, and since we can't really dodge all that well, we take lots of hits. Thankfully, we had enough rations to survive the onslaught. Vamp interrupts the fight, so we put a bullet in his head and make our escape whilst Fortune mourns. We get back to the top of strut A, only to find out there is another 400-second time limit to get to the helipad on the roof of strut E. So we speed crawl our way all the way there, and quickly gun down any guard that gets in our way before they can call for reinforcements. We get spotted on the bridge, but we can speed crawl our way to the other side before any other reinforcements turn up. But once we enter strut E, the guards are on high alert. We can use a cardboard box to avoid detection completely until they're called back. After much delay, we finally made it to the helipad. We speed crawl to the bomb on the roof and disarm it with 50 seconds remaining. This initiates a boss battle against Fat Man. His main gimmick is riding around on rollerblades and arming bombs all over the helipad that only have 1 minute time limit. We can use speed crawling to just about make it to each bomb one at a time. His speed makes him quite difficult to hit, and there's no way we'd ever be able to keep up pace with him. Also, if he plants a bomb too far away from us, there's a very real chance that we will lose immediately as we can't crawl to it in under a minute. Our strategy for this fight is to speed crawl to the first couple of bombs, get them both disarmed. We can then get into position to intercept Fat Man's path. As soon as he comes around the corner, we shoot him down. This stuns him long enough for us to land a shot on top of his head for maximum damage. He quickly rides off after taking damage, so we need to use first person to try and shoot him again. Before he can plant any more bombs, we managed to drop him again as he rode by and nailed another headshot. As soon as he got up, he planted another bomb, but as we were close by, we were able to use melee to knock him down again before he could start the detonator timer. We had to quickly crawl in position before he recovered, but we were just able to land another headshot. The timer started soon afterwards, but we were close enough to freeze the bomb in time. We got another shot on him as he passed by, and he was one more shot away from defeat. It was here we discovered that if the time limit is counting down to a bomb, then it doesn't matter if we land the final blow on Fat Man. The bombs still need disarming before the fight will end. Right at the end, he plants 3 bombs in a row. We disarm the first 2 and speed crawl our way to the third in the bottom right corner. Fat Man was waiting near the bomb, so we shoot him down first, thinking we can defeat him, and then disarm the final bomb right afterwards, but it's at that moment we ran out of ammo. So instead we disarm the third bomb and punch our way to some nearby ammo. Using that, we were finally able to land the final shot and defeat Fat Man. Fat Man warns us of one more final bomb nearby before he dies. This bomb is directly underneath his corpse. We can drag bodies in this game, and that's exactly what we need to do to reveal the final bomb. But as we drag, we're taking steps. The method here is to crawl to Fat Man's side, hold square to grab his legs. This will cause Fat Man's body to rotate a little bit as we grab him. Now the bomb is revealed and we can disarm it. Soon after, we receive the level 2 key card and a guard uniform from a ninja. We crawl our way back to the warehouse, and using the level 2 key card, we can open up a room on the bottom floor to find an AK. This completes our guard disguise that we will need before entering Shell 1 core. However, there is a bridge we need to cross to get to that core, and the floor panels break away beneath our feet, which drops us to our death. There is a slight delay before the panel falls, which would have provided enough time to run over the bridge without falling, but not enough time to speed crawl over. We can clear most of the bridge by hanging over the railing and shimmying as far as we can go, but there's a couple of panels at the end of the bridge that break away. It's possible to hit the directional button and the X in very quick succession so that we somersault without taking a step first, but since we had to use a directional button while standing, this didn't really sit well with me. We even tried to use an explosive to blast our way over the gaps, but still no luck. So we tried something else instead. If we back ourselves against the railing whilst crouching, we can move sideways along the wall. Of course, this is taking steps. However, if we spam R1 as fast as we can at the same time, we will rapidly swap our weapon back and forth just like with speed crawling. This causes an animation cancel during the side steps, and Raiden just ends up slowly sliding his his way along the wall and he barely moves his legs during this. This might be considered a grey area in our rules, but whether you prefer this or the quick somersault, these were the only two ways I could find to get over this bridge. Now we're inside Shell 1 core, fully disguised as an enemy soldier. As long as we don't do anything strange, none of the guards will be suspicious of us. Unfortunately, they consider crawling through corridors to be quite strange. The best way to travel whilst in disguise is to use single punches when the guards aren't looking, as they also consider punching the air to be suspicious. We can crawl when the guards are not looking, but it takes time to quickly stand back up again before the guards turn around and see us. Whenever a guard is looking at us, we will stay on the spot. The only disadvantage to using punches to travel is that if a guard is too close, Raiden will automatically aim his punches towards them. We need to make sure the guards are out of arm's reach before we start punching our way through the corridors. This becomes very difficult on the lower floor as there are several guards in the centre of the room, all fairly close to each other. We need to get through them all and grab the directional mic. This is a tricky task though, as we are at risk of accidentally punching a guard as we inch through. Even once we have the directional mic, we still need to get back out of this room, which is arguably even more difficult. A tactic we can use is that when the guards aren't looking, we quickly tranquilize one of the guards in the back of the head. Any other guard that sees their fallen comrade will investigate them, which gives us an opening to escape. Now we need to make it past a retinal scanner by grabbing a guard nearby and holding his face in front of the scanner. Fortunately, a guard happens to pass by the scanner every now and then. This is good news, as we wouldn't actually be able to drag a guard here without taking steps. If we stand just in front of the scanner but with enough room for someone to stand in front of us, wait for the passing guard and then just hold square as he passes by. All it takes is being close to the scanner and Raiden will activate it automatically in a cutscene without the need for a step. We crawl our way over to Ames and hold the directional mic at him. One cutscene later and Ames gives us a level 3 key card and then our cover is blown. We need to slowly make our escape whilst guards are in pursuit. The best way is to tranquilize any guards in our way, as we won't make it out otherwise. Now we need to head for the second half of the big shell, so this means spamming R1 over the broken bridge again. On the way there, we stop by the warehouse and use the level 3 key card to open a door to the sniper rifle. We can also get the grenade launcher while we're here. Once we get to the connector bridge between the two halves of the big shell, we see that it is littered with Semtex bombs. We need to use the sniper rifle to shoot out each of the sensors to deactivate the Semtex lasers. There's a fair few we need to hit, but you can't take a step whilst aiming anyway, so there's no issue here. As soon as we break all the sensors, we're thrust straight into a boss fight against the Harrier. Right away, we can punch our way to the Stinger missile launcher. We can fire rockets at the hangar as it flies by, but now and then the Harrier swoops down and bombs us. It can also fly low and rapid fire at us. Avoiding this damage is quite difficult without being able to run around and take cover, but if we fire rockets at the Harrier as it's swooping in, we can cancel his attack. We take quite a lot of damage here, so we keep our rations equipped so that Raiden will use them automatically. Thankfully, we were able to have the maximum of 5 rations before this point, and we're going to need as many as we can get. Snake even throws some ammo and rations down from his helicopter now and then, should we need them. But basically, we just tanked the Harrier's offense whilst firing off rockets, and with only 1 ration left, we won! Now we need to traverse the broken section of the shell to get to the other side, without taking a step. We can jump over this railing to shimmy over the large pipe, and then crawl over to the other side. We can use triangle presses to hoist ourselves to the higher platforms. This brings us to a very precarious bridge with more breakaway floor panels. Despite our numerous attempts, we could not speed crawl or punch our way over these panels fast enough, and you can't animation cancel across this bridge either. We avoided it last time, but we don't have much choice now. We need to perform a quick standing somersault without taking a step to make it over these floor panels. The timing needed to perform this somersault without taking a step first is fairly precise, and we need to chain 3 of them together, which makes it even more difficult. I'm still not happy having to rely on the somersault, as I feel it kinda breaks our first rule, and what's even more annoying is that there is a way to clip Raiden partway through the rail by kicking the wall, and then quickly hitting triangle to flip over the rail in such a way that Raiden is hanging in mid-air. From here we can shimmy side to side and possibly even through the walls. This could have helped us bypass the bridge, except we can only clip through the rail after the bridge, so this ends up not being helpful at all. So we don't have much choice but to use the standing somersaults to cross the bridge and clear this gap soon after. If you feel this breaks the first rule, then I wouldn't blame you. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Immediately following that, we have a ladder we need to climb, and it looked like this would be a major obstacle, but Raiden ends up climbing this ladder automatically in a cutscene. We can hang over the edge and shimmy over the next bridge, but right after we have a large gap with just a catwalk bridging it. We must use the weapon swap spam method again to slowly inch our way across. If we stop spamming R1 whilst moving to the side, then Raiden will take a step. We can take a break partway through this to give our spamming fingers a rest, which I highly suggest you do, by the way, because this killed my hand. There's another gap after this that you're forced to somersault over, but I feel better about this one because we found a way to perform a somersault from a crouching position. We were able to get Raiden's legs to hang over the edge whilst crawling. From there we stood up, rotate 180 degrees, crouch, and now, pressing the direction and the X button, Raiden seems to roll straight out of a standing up animation, so perhaps this is less of a grey area when it comes to our first rule? If we had practiced this method sooner, then it might have been possible to do this with the previous gaps that we somersaulted over. Now we're in Shell 2 core to rescue the president, and we need a Nikita missile launcher. We can get one on the lower floor, but it's submerged in water. If we punch our way to the steps leading down, Raiden will run down the steps automatically in a cutscene. From there we can submerge and swim our way to the Nikita. Raiden also runs back up the stairs automatically if we swim into the steps. We make our way to the upper floor and guide the Nikita missile through the ventilation shafts to destroy the device that's keeping the president trapped behind electric floor. This is of course assuming the president doesn't freak out and decide to run directly into the missile. I've never seen a man try to make us kill him so much. One dead president later and we crawl back into the water. We now need to swim all the way to the other side, avoiding the mines and grabbing a couple of rations on the way. Now we must fight Vamp. He will jump in and out of the water a lot where we can't follow. He also throws knives at us, but to start off with they're quite slow and we can avoid this just by punching. Vamp dodges bullets very well as he slowly approaches, but when he gets close we can just punch and kick him. After he takes enough damage he starts to throw even more knives, and they're faster now. Things start to become a bit more dangerous now and we took a couple of deaths here. It's possible to hit Vamp with a grenade or a rocket launcher whilst he swims, but an even better strategy is to crawl to the top right corner of the room, wait for Vamp to leave the water, and then guide Nikita missiles at him. Rinse repeat this a bunch of times and Vamp goes down. We take another swim to find the body armor down one of the underwater corridors. Shortly afterwards we find Emma. We need to escort her all the way back out of Shell 2 core. This means swimming with her on our back, but the swimming is the easy part. Once we finish swimming through the first water section, we need to get Emma over to the second pool of water, but she only moves when we hold her hand and walk her there. We hold triangle to prompt her to take our hand, but we can't move from there without taking steps. She crouches with us, but she won't crawl with us. The only way is to throw 1 or 2 punches and then hold triangle to prompt her to take our hand. If she's a step away from us, she will step forward to take our hand. We then let go and repeat the process over and over until we finally get her to the door. As soon as we approach the second pool, a cutscene starts. As soon as the cutscene is over, Raiden and Emma are already standing in the pool of water ready to submerge. Do not turn around and exit the water here or we will trap ourselves. The reason for this is that the only way to get Emma back in the pool of water is to hold her hand and then step into the water manually. You can't crawl or punch whilst holding Emma's hand after all. We just need to be thankful that the game places us in the water automatically. Once we're out the other side, we need to continue to escort Emma through a bunch of bugs that she also hates. But we found a better way to get her to move, headbutting her in the shins. This can be done to get Emma in the elevator without having to get rid of the bugs first. Now we need to slowly escort Emma through the upper floor with guards patrolling. We want to tranquilize all the guards one by one as we spot them, as being discovered here is fatal to Emma's health. We found this out the hard way. But now we have another problem, getting Emma through this door. We can't go through whilst holding Emma's hand, and when we crawl through by ourselves, Emma does not travel through with us. Re-entering the previous room reveals that Emma has travelled back around the corner for some reason. So this time we tried to push her through the door by headbutting her in the shins again. This time it worked for some reason. Emma was on the other side of the door waiting for us. I actually did some experiments with this door. Emma only seems to be on the other side of the door when she was pushed through far enough, before we went through ourselves. Thankfully some repair work has been done on the bridge that we had to somersault over earlier, so we can slowly drag Emma over from here. We just need to use the coolant to put the fire out, then carry on tranquilizing all the guards in the way. The following section requires us to provide cover fire for Emma with our sniper rifle while she travels across the perilous floating oil fence. We can punch or crawl our way over to the right to collect more ammo, but otherwise this whole section is played the same way it would in a casual playthrough. We take some pentazamine to improve our aim, shoot out the claymore mines, take take down the guards and the ciphers, and we can even give Snake a call to get him to help us out from where he is. Eventually, Vamp shows up again to grab Emma and hold her at knife point, but we just pop some more pentazamine and shoot Vamp in the head 4 times. Emma is injured though, and now we have a 300-second time limit to get over to Shell 1 core, so we put our speed crawling back to use once again, also making sure to take out all the ciphers on the way. This leads us back to that horrible bridge again with the breakaway floor panels. We can get over here the same way we did the first time, we just need to be quicker about it this time since we're on the clock. Quite a lot happened in the following cutscene, but long story short, we're naked and captured. Raiden protects his modesty with his hands, but fortunately we can still crawl. We grab the ration under the desk and enter the next room. This is where we really need to be as stealthy as possible, as we're currently limited to punches and kicks for offense. We can use the large crates to hide behind. We can also crawl upstairs to take the upper floor instead. But keep in mind that if a guard or security camera spots us, then all nearby guards are alerted, and they can even jump up from the bottom floor. Basically, we need to avoid detection entirely. This is easier said than done though. We can crawl under the cameras, but if we want to cross a bridge near a camera, the timing needs to be perfect to avoid detection from the camera. It's tough to avoid detection on the final stretch of the area since we can't use the speed crawl technique since we don't have any equipment to swap between. We are getting shot at as we punch our way to the final door of the room, but we just make it through. Snake gives us all our gear back and even a sword. The next section is Snake and Raiden in a gunfight against an army of soldiers. They attack us in waves and we travel forward a little bit between each wave. We need to take cover a lot since we're not very mobile. The end of the room is the worst though. There are so many guards firing at us and we get rushed by guards with swords too. But the biggest issue here is Snake getting himself shot and dying, which results in a game over. We could easily take our time here and take out each guard one at a time, but the fact that Snake makes himself such an easy target the entire time, we're now basically on a time limit to kill the guards before they kill Snake first. We tried many different weapons, the AK, the Stinger, the Nikita, the rocket launcher, but Snake got himself killed every time. We need to do something about Snake. He's not well. We take the executive decision to tranquilize Snake before the final wave. It's for his own good. Stun grenades help us punch our way to the top of the room, and from here we spam rockets and missiles at all the guards that drop down. After a while, Snake recovered just in time to handle a few stragglers by the door, and then it finally opens. Next, we're in the center of a circular room gunning down waves of guards. This isn't too difficult since we can just rotate on the spot and take them out one at a time. We do take enough damage to put us in critical health though, but we can crouch down to slowly recover our health between gunfire. We are now alone fighting a bunch of Metal Gear Rays at the same time. We are atop a raised platform with nothing to take cover behind. The Rays can fire rockets at a distance, and given enough time, they'll start to jump on top of the platform with us. From here, they can hit us with lasers, rapid fire, or just by stomping on us, and we need to win this fight without taking a step. Needless to say, the odds are stacked heavily against us. The only weapon we can rely on for this fight is the Stinger missile launcher. We can target either the Ray's legs or faces, but for maximum damage, we need to hit a leg to stagger one of the Rays and then target its face whilst it's hunched over. Even knowing that, we run out of Stinger ammo long before we can defeat all of the Rays. Some more ammo does spawn during the battle, but it spawns on the outer edge of the platform, which is far from ideal. It's also worth noting that a few rations will spawn in the center of the platform where we are, which can help us stay alive a bit longer. If we want to maximize our damage as much as possible on each Ray and conserve as much ammo as possible, then we need to hit a leg and then a face in quick succession. But since a Ray has some recovery time after taking damage, it's even more efficient if we target each Ray in turn. Only 3 Rays will be on screen at once anyway, so this is manageable. Once a Ray has taken a total of 3 leg shot, face shot combos, its health is so low that a single rocket to the face will finish it off. This means we need a total of 7 rockets to kill each Ray at minimum. Unlike in Metal Gear Solid 1, getting hit with rockets knocks us down even if we're in first person view. So if we see one of the Rays fire a rocket just before we fire at a leg, odds are we're not going to have time to hit the second shot in the face before getting hit. So we may as well save the ammo at that point. Once we're down to 20 or less Stinger ammo, that's when more spawns on the outer edge of the platform, and that's when we can use a strategy that completely broke choke this fight. We use a chaff grenade to stun the rays, and then quickly punch our way over to the edge to find some ammo and stand on top of it. Now, if we drop below 20 ammo again, more will spawn on this same spot, as long as this spot isn't on camera. If we aim in first person view with the stinger, then this spot isn't on camera. This means we essentially have infinite ammo as long as we don't move from here and stay in first person view. Now we can just spam the 1-2 hit combo on each ray as fast as we can without having to worry about our ammo whatsoever. With our rations equipped for auto healing, we eventually outlast all of the rays and win this slog of a battle. This brings us to the final battle, a sword fight against Solidus himself. Solidus has 2 swords and extendable arms, so when it comes to range, he has us outclassed. If we wait for him to get close and start swinging our sword, he just blocks all the damage. This is because we need to pick our spots carefully. Hitting him from behind is an effective way to cause damage, but we don't have that luxury. We can block a good number of his melee attacks, but he can get around that with a leg sweep. Many of our early attempts at this boss saw us barely able to rack up any damage at all, so we needed a plan. This is when we learned of a method that allows us to hit Solidus without him blocking us, and it's a strange one. We need to fall over the edge to make Raiden hang on. This prompts Solidus to run over to us and slash our hands to make us fall, but during our climbing animation, we have some immunity frames. This means that mid-climb, we don't take damage. So right away, we crawl to the edge of the building we're on, and then we either punch our way over the edge or wait for Solidus to hit us over the edge. We then wait for Solidus to slash down at our hands, and we quickly climb up and swing at him like mad. We repeat this process as much as we can. We're usually able to score 3 hits each time we pull ourselves up. A slight obstacle with this strategy is that as soon as we get our hits in, if we want to punch our way over the edge again, since Solidus is so close to us, our punches will automatically aim towards him instead. This will actually put us further from the edge. So if we wait until Solidus slides away from us first, we can then quickly turn around towards the edge and punch our way off it again. As soon as we start punching our way towards the edge, it becomes a race between our punches and his rockets. The rockets may hurt, but if they do hit us, they will still knock us over the edge, so silver lining. It's actually possible to punch our way over the edge before the rockets hit us if we're quick enough, which means the rockets can completely miss us. We can also make sure to be wearing the body armor during this fight to reduce damage. And sometimes we just get lucky and his rockets go over our head regardless of whether we're hanging over an edge or not. It's possible to use the blade to cut the rockets as they're about to hit us, but I never could pull off the timing with any consistency. After repeating the ledge grab method a few times in a row, we get his health down about halfway. And then he changes his pattern slightly. Now he charges all over the place and straight into us to knock us down. This works out perfectly for us though, as now all we have to do is stand close to the edge, hold block, his charge attack won't do any damage but it still knocks us over the edge. However, when we climb back up, it is a bit harder to hit him now due to his increased speed and aggression. Another thing we can do is stab him as soon as he charges towards us. This will stop him in his tracks and cause a bit of damage every time. Sometimes Solidus will go for a kick after we climb up, and this is his undoing. He will completely miss us due to our immunity frames, and this leaves him wide open for an attack. A few of those in a row and we have done it. Solidus is defeated. Can we beat Metal Gear Solid 2 without taking any steps? Well, that's up to you guys. Does the standing somersault we used count as a step? I'm not really sure, but I knew that I had to carry on to the end to find out what could and could not be done. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed challenge runs like this on classic games, then please subscribe. There's plenty more where this one came from. You can also follow our Twitch channel if you want to see some of these challenge runs being performed live. And there's always our Discord server if you ever wanted to chat with us directly. Links are all in the description. I'd also like to thank the Metal Gear Solid speedrun community over on their Discord server for all their help. I'd like to thank all of our Twitch subs right now in list form. They are Alex Gaming 524, Andy Pandy Pie, Anti Big Boss, Axis the Collector, Big Wolf Chris, Blade of Grass, Weirdy, Chloe cause that's what she said, D Blue J, Dr. Mantis Toboggan Games, DTG Fin 30, Duncan F93, Duigi, Evolve Pixel, Holly Georgina, Isaac IBV, Gino 505, John Fitz 49, Judy Pooty, King DDD1, Lacerated Hunter, Manverse Beast, Owl Hooting, Pauser 95, Charlo Bun, Skidger, Spectrum Z90, Static Jokes, The Jalis, The Overachiever, The Bloody Screen, Wolf 19, W21, Experimenter, and Z-Man Vader. And another thank you to the Patreons, of course, A Lazy Dragon, Anthony Kermack, James Harrison, and Charlo Bun, you beauties. is. Well, I suppose we'll have to do this same challenge for Metal Gear Solid 3 at some point. After all, we've done it for 1 and 2 now. And if you haven't already seen our Metal Gear Solid 1 No Step video, it's linked on screen now. Or maybe you want to see if we can beat Spyro 2 100% without gliding. I'll link that on screen too. Is there much overlap between Metal Gear Solid fans and Spyro fans? There must be, right? Right?